Hello, my name is Tom Sidener from Sidener Entertainment, and today we are going to learn how to play Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is a family game put out by Days of Wonder. It is created by Alan Moon. It is 2 to 5 players, takes about an hour to play, and it's for ages 8 and up. Ticket to Ride does have small pieces, so you might want to keep them away from children because it could cause a choking hazard. Inside the Ticket to Ride box, there are several components. You get some advertisements, you get a Days of Wonder catalog, and you get the Ticket to Ride instructions. The instructions are pretty good. They're lined out in about 4 or 5 pages, and they have good color illustrations to show you how to play. You get the Ticket to Ride board. You get a stack of train cards in multiple colors, and we'll discuss that later. You get a stack of destination cards. You get a scorecard. You get a longest route card. You get 5 colors of trains, and you get 45 trains in each color. You get a few extra trains in case you lose one. You get color-coordinated markers for scoring. And you get a nice insert into the box where you can store all of your components. Now, the cards that come with the Ticket to Ride game are very small, and if you have issues with small text or anything like that, Ticket to Ride does provide, at an extra cost, a 1910 expansion. And that 1910 expansion is nothing more than larger cards. They're exactly the same as the cards that come in the set, except for they're a lot larger. They're easier to hold on to, and they're easier to read. And I will be using the larger cards for the rest of this tutorial in order to make it easier for you to see what's on the card. In Ticket to Ride, you are going to use cards to determine what you can do in the game. Those cards are train cards, and they have several different colors. We have a black, red, yellow, orange, green, white, pink, blue, and then we have a wild card, which can represent any color. The colors on the cards are not representative of the pieces that you are playing, but the paths on the map. As you can see, we have corresponding paths on the map. We have red, blue, yellow, green, black, pink, orange. But we also have gray. The gray locations on the map can be any color, but they have to be the same color for each connected location. We also have destination cards. The destination cards are what you use to determine your points in the game. Players will try to complete a train from the starting point on their destination to the ending point on their destination. Some destination cards are short, like this one, which only goes from here to here, and some destination cards are long, which go quite a ways across the map. The points values on the cards are determined by how long the point A to point B destination is. In order to set up a game of Ticket to Ride, there are several things that we have to do. The first thing is we have to take our scoring markers and we have to place them on the number 1 on the board. There is a scoring track that goes all the way around the board. It starts at 1 and goes all the way around to 100. So when you're scoring, you move your token, the number of score that you receive for your completed trains, and you just go, if you go past 100, you just add on to that, and you would just go 110, 120, so on and so forth. Also, you deal out 4 train cards. You shuffle your train deck. You deal out 4 train cards to each player to start the game. This will be their starting hand. You also deal out 3 destination cards to each player. These will be the destinations that they are allowed to choose from to start the game. Now each player gets to go through their destinations and see which ones they want to keep. They get 3 destination cards to start the game. but they must keep at least 2 of them. So what you should do is look at your destination cards, determine where the starting location, this one's New Orleans, and the ending location, this is Montreal. See how far those destinations are, and then determine if you want to try to complete that. Like I said, you have to keep at least 2 of your destination cards. You can return 1 back to the dealer, which goes in the discard pile. Once everybody has decided what destinations they would like to keep and attempt, then you deal out the playing deck. The playing deck is shuffled. All of the remaining cards for the trains are shuffled, and then you place out 5 train cards face up. Alright, this will be the playing deck. Now we're going to talk about what a person can do on their turn in Ticket to Ride. In Ticket to Ride, a person can do one of 3 things on their turn. The first thing that they can do is draw cards. If they decide to draw cards for their turn, that's all they can do on their turn. They can draw 2 cards from the cards that are showing, as long as they're normal cards, or they can draw 2 cards from the draw deck at random, or they can take 1 card from the showing deck and 1 card from the random deck. Also, if there is a wild card showing, a person may take that wild card, but it counts as 2 draws. So if you take a wild card from the showing deck, you cannot take another card, you cannot take another random card. If you draw a random card and it's a wild card, you can still then draw another random card or another showing. Once you have drawn 2 cards or 1 random card, then your turn passes to the next player. When a player takes a card from the show deck during their turn, that card is immediately replaced from the draw deck by the dealer back to the show deck. In the event that the show deck contains 3 wild cards at one given time, then that show deck is removed from play, all of those cards are put into the discard pile, and a new show deck is dealt out from the draw deck. During the course of play, the draw deck may become depleted several times. When this happens, simply take the discard pile, shuffle it in with the draw deck, and continue play. The second thing that a player can do on their turn in Ticket to Ride is they can choose to play a train. In order to play a train, you must discard cards in the required color for completing a section of the train. The color of the cards must correlate with the locations on the train board, not the player's train color. I am the yellow player. I'm going to play 3 red cards, and I'm going to complete the train section between Duluth and Chicago, noted by the red color. These cards are then returned to the discard stack. Once a train is completed, a player then receives a score. On the board there is a scorecard, and there's also a small scorecard included with the game. And you look on the board or the scorecard and see how many trains were completed in their train. And for me, from Duluth to Chicago, I completed 3 trains. I look on the score, and for 3 trains, I get 4 points. Then the player moves their scoring token the recommended amount of points. 1, 2, 3, 4. The third thing that a player may do on their turn is request more destination cards. Once a player has completed a train from the beginning of their destination to the end of their destination, they have completed their destination card. You do not tell the other players that you've completed your destination cards, you just put them to the side so that you know that you've completed it. Once you run out of destination cards, you may, on your turn, request new destination cards. In order to get new destination cards, you say on your turn, I would like new destination cards, and you are dealt 3 new destination cards. You look at the destination cards, and you have to keep at least 1 of the destination cards dealt to you, but you may return up to 2 of them back to the dealer. You can keep all 3 if you're brave and would like to try to complete 3 more destinations. Once a player has completed one of the 3 items on their turn, drawn, made a train, or asked for more destinations, then the turn passes to the next player clockwise, and it starts all over again. Players in turn draw, play trains, and ask for destinations around the table until one player is down to only 2 trains left. Once one player has only 2 trains left in their reserve of trains, that is the end condition for the game. Once that happens, the play goes around the board one more time, and then play ends. Throughout the game of Ticket to Ride, players will draw cards, play trains, and complete destinations. During that, players will sometimes block other players from completing their destinations. As an example, from Duluth to Chicago, there is only one track. So if the black player is trying to complete a destination from Winnipeg to Pittsburgh, he will not be able to complete that destination going through Chicago. Therefore, the yellow player playing his train from Duluth to Chicago will cause the black player to have to reroute his trains around that section of the track in order to make his destination. That in turn can make the other player go way out of their way to complete their destination, adding to the difficulty of finishing your destination. Also on the board, there are gray sections. Gray sections can be any color. So if I wanted to complete this gray section here that has 2 sections, I could play 2 greens, I could play 2 pinks, yellows, I could play a green and a wild card. I could play 2 of any color to complete this gray section. Wild cards can be used for any color, including gray. They can also be used in any combination. You can have one of an individual color and the rest wild cards, or you can play all wild cards to complete a section of track. Every time that a player completes a section of track, you look on the score, you score that, and you move their score counter the number of points that they get for that completion. This continues throughout the game as players move closer and closer around the track as they complete their sections of the track. At the end of the game, all players take their destinations that they've completed and they add up the total number on their completed destinations and they add it to their score track. So once the game is finished, if I had completed both of these destinations, I would move my scoring piece 20 for this destination and I would move it 10 for this destination. In the event that a player does not complete a destination, that player must deduct that amount of points from their score track. So if I did not complete this destination, I would have to move my score counter at the end of the game back 10 points. Once everybody's score counters are totaled up and represented on the score track, then one player receives the longest continual train card. The longest continual train card is worth 10 points, which gets added to their score track, and it has to be one continuous train with no breaks. So in this scenario here, the black player has one continuous train that goes from here to here, and so they would receive the 10 points at the end. Once the score is totaled up, the person with the most score wins the game.